Hello everyone, I'm back and today we're building Foxbury dorms and commons. And I will be honest with you guys, I have actually already recorded this voiceover once before and got to the end, been talking for 30 minutes, listened back to the audio, and my microphone had decided to go on mute. And so my audio was picked up by my laptop, just the laptop microphone. So that was really fun. So yeah, I'm going to do it again because it sounded like really weird. So yeah, I'm sorry if this is a bit of a weird one because this has been talking for a long time, I'll be honest. But anyway, so yes, we are building Foxbury dorms and commons. And I really wanted to build a sort of dorms-like building for the university pack, or just, well, for this world. And obviously we have the dorm high-rises, I'm going to call them, where it's kind of like it kind of works like the apartments in City Living, where it looks like a massive building, but then your Sims just go in a lift all the way up to the top, and it's just the top floor is like the playable space, which is really cool that we have that. And you know, it like I'm guessing it's quite realistic in the sense of you feel like loads of Sims live in there, or loads of students live in there, which is how dorms are. But I don't know, like it's very limiting. And although you can build whatever you want at the top, it just feels a little bit weird. It feels like obviously it has to fit in, it has to make sense in my mind anyway, like to be realistic that what is at the top would be at the top of that type of building, if that makes sense. And I wanted to make my own building, basically. I didn't want to make it fit into those high rises. So I decided to build on where the commons normally is here in Foxbury. And that's kind of why I've made this a dorms and commons type building, because basically in my mind, this is for first year students, and I always feel like they get given a lot of help and kind of have access to more things because it's their first time living away. And yeah, so I thought, let's make a nice, quite luxurious building where the Sims kind of have everything they need. So you almost don't need to travel away from where you live to study or, you know, hang out with your friends, do whatever. I just thought that made quite a nice kind of lot to have. I don't know, you have to let me know what you think, but it just felt like better than having, you know, because this little area as well is really nice. It's like the kind of being on a campus, and I've always found it a little bit weird with the dorms where you'd be living in your dorm and then you have to go through a loading screen just to go to the commons building. And I know it's just how Sims work, but it's kind of annoying to me. So I figured, let's just bypass all that and have a building where we can just do everything we need, you know? So, yeah, like I say, I've never been to like a university accommodation like this. This is like really extravagant. This is a lot and would probably be really expensive. But I figured, you know, this is like very modern. Obviously, Foxbury is the kind of science-based university, so everything's kind of, I don't know, it just looks a bit more like clinical. Like it's not old, it's newer, modern, and just a bit more sleek. So I felt like we're just going to go for quite a sleek looking building. And yeah, I just feel like that can always make a building it just feels expensive, you know, because modern, I don't know, I just feel like that is associated with being more expensive. I don't know. It's just what it is. So yeah, so there is in this building like 3 little flats or 3 apartments, and within that there is 3 bedrooms. So they're kind of like 3 flats for 3 Sims to share, which makes them a little bit different perhaps from the dorms style where there's just kind of like 10, 20 students living in one flat almost. I kind of like the idea of having smaller flats because that's just kind of more what I know from student accommodation. Having said that, when I went to university, my first year halls there was 20 of us, but it was set up a little bit different. It was a really, really old halls to the point where I think they've actually been demolished now. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they were definitely going to demolish some of them because they were so old. And yeah, it was just like, there was obviously like a lot of problems with the buildings and things, but it meant that, yeah, our rooms were like super old. I quite liked it. It was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of nice. I say nice, but it was nice in some aspects to think of like how many people had lived there before, if that makes sense. Although it's a little bit weird thinking about obviously how many people had your bedroom or whatever, but I don't know, it's kind of nice knowing that this has been around for so long, that so many people, you know, all these different students have come through. It's just really nice. But yeah, it was a very different setup, but most accommodation that I know through like my other years and just like from other people, like friends I have, other students I know, etc., they had accommodation a bit more like this, where it was like mini apartments within one building. So there was lots of mini apartments in the building, and then there was these communal spaces, which I think is a really nice idea, because it means obviously these flats will be smaller than having like 10 people sharing a flat with 10, 20 people. But I have to say these flats were much smaller than I would have liked. Obviously there's a limit in The Sims on how many like university rooms you can have within the lot. I'm pretty sure the maximum is 10, so that's why I've kind of gone for 3 on each floor, just so there wasn't one that had like randomly one more room than the others. And yeah, 3 is like really small, because if you imagine your first year of university and there's only 2 other people living in the same flat as you, you would, you know, you're there, you're trying to find your people, and 2 other people is not very many people to be sharing a space with, and chances are you might not have much in common with either of them, so you kind of need a bigger pool of people to find your people, if that makes sense. So I would have liked them to be bigger, but that's just limitations. But I guess in this case, there is 9 people living on this lot, so you can kind of mix with the other flats, which I think happens a lot as well. Because even if there's, I don't know, 5, 6 of you in a flat, it still might not necessarily be like best friends with anyone, you know? So yeah, I feel like they just must all mix, you know? So yeah, so 3 apartments, which are in the sort of like right-hand side, if that makes sense. So where there is all the windows, the like individual windows, and then the kind of the eco lifestyle windows, and then the ones with the, I always call them like, they're like bay windows, but like to the side, like, if you know what I mean. So the ones that are like in the corner that make a kind of pointy shape, if that makes sense. Anyway, that side is where the apartments are, and then the big box that is just covered in windows with wood is basically going to be a big communal foyer space, which is, I've deleted the second floor, so it's 2 floors high, if that makes sense. And then there is going to be a mezzanine, I think that's the right word, type level, which is where there's a cafeteria, you know? So yeah, and in that space there is like a pool, I'm going to say pool table, but that is not a pool table because we do not have that. There is a ping pong table and a big TV and some big steps, sort of like, which go up to obviously the mezzanine level, but it makes a kind of auditorium type vibe, so lots of places to sit. And I put the debating stand so they can do some debating there as well. I thought it was quite a nice space to be able to do that. And it's just a really nice space for your Sims to hang out, basically. And then I thought it would be really cute as well to have this outside area. Obviously, we've gone for like a really big moment of steps leading up to the main building, which is, again, space for your Sims to be able to hang out at. Well, that's the idea anyway. You know, you can sit out here if it's nice and sunny, have food out here, study out here, do whatever you want to do. And I thought it'd be nice to actually have the grass, you know, grassy area. And to be honest, my original plan was to put barbecues there because I thought, again, that would be something nice for them to do when it's nice and sunny or exams are finished. But then I remembered that they are forbidden, and so are ovens on university residential lots types. And I'll be honest, barbecues I can understand, like, you know, but the ovens, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's something perhaps that's different in the US, but just because obviously this game is quite US based, so I think obviously a lot of its influences are from the US. But I've never been in a university accommodation that doesn't have an oven myself. Obviously, if the university halls are perhaps catered, so you pay for catering, they might not have an oven. They'll definitely still have a fridge though, microwave, things like this, because you'd still want to be able to have snacks and other food, and not just the set meals that are going to be cooked in a cafeteria. But even still, more often than not, they'll still have a full kitchen. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would be nice if we could have ovens, because I do put full size kitchens in these flats as well, because they are like flats. It makes sense to have a full kitchen. So, and it looks like a full kitchen. You can't really tell there's no oven there, obviously, until, there is no oven there. But from first glance, you wouldn't think, this is a weird kitchen. There's no oven there, because it just looks like a big kitchen. But I don't know. It's an interesting one. So obviously there is a cafeteria, which will be up in the main I don't know what we're going to call it, the main commons room. And yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice if we could do it. I know there's some cheats that you can do it, but it'd just be nice if there was the option, Or maybe not in the dorms, but because obviously this is on campus dorms, and then there's the houses that are sort of off campus, but still within university domain, if that makes sense. Because I know in this world we have some houses which are just completely just houses, but within the proximity of both universities there's a university house, not that isn't dorms, and I could they should be able to have an oven. To me, that makes sense to be able to have an oven, because otherwise there's no cafeteria there, and there's no so all they can do is have microwave meals, which I guess most students have anyway, but I don't know, it'd be nice to have the option. But yeah, I don't know, it's a strange one. And then I actually put some lifts in this building, and obviously they're not functional. You can't go from floor to floor in these lifts, but it's just the type of building that in my mind would have lifts. So I put them in just for a bit of realism, basically, because I just felt like there'd be lifts, and that's what we did. And as well, I always forget as well that you can only put one lift on one lot. But you can do that kind of trick where if you put a lift and then box it into a room, you can then copy the room and it brings another lift with it, and then it lets you put another one down. So you can just copy and paste it wherever you want to put it, and then it looks like there's lifts and that they work. But it's purely decorative, just because, I felt like it needed some lifts. And then the other rooms that we have in this building are so on the ground floor, there is the main commons room. There's some toilets, communal toilets, and then I'm going to call it a computer room, which is basically a study room, which has a load of computers, and even though researchy type computers, and some books as well, just for space for quiet study, I suppose. And then on the second floor, there is a little laundrette, because I thought that'd be quite useful. And I'm still going to call it a skills room, but I had high hopes for the skills room. I don't know, I had big plans. I thought, let's get lots of skill building activities in here, so your Sims can be learning all different skills which they might need for their degree. But yeah, I soon realised there wasn't that much space and I couldn't fit that much in. And then also, what skills skill items do they need? Because realistically, most skills you can learn from reading books anyway, and they end up just reading those. So yeah, I put the most important things in there, but to be honest, it's not as, I don't feel like I can call it a skills room. It's just another study room, basically. But it has different things in there for your Sims to use, And then on the top floor, there is a gym, which is quite luxurious. And again, to be fair, they are also skill building items. So that kind of works, to be fair, as more things for fitness skill, basically. So yeah, and then obviously on each floor there is a little apartment as well for your Sims. So it's kind of sweet. And yeah, I don't know. I hope you guys get the vision of what I was trying to go do with this. So yeah. So what you'll have just seen as well that I've just made, which might looked a little bit strange, is a reception. Because again, this is definitely the type of building that I feel like would have a main reception, and that there would be security at night and reception during the day who are taking parcels that come for the students. And it's just somewhere you could go if you need help, if something's broken, they could arrange a repairman, that kind of vibe. Obviously it's not functional and there isn't going to be someone sat there on a desk, but there are 2 computers there, so your Sims could also just use those computers if they wanted, which, to be honest, let's be real, they're going to end up doing that. They're not going to use the computers in their room or in the designated computer room. They're going to use those ones because Sims. So yeah, I thought it was quite sweet because I put some different items as well, like the trophy cabinet, and there's another item from the high school pack which is, it's I think it's for a careers fair or something, and it's really sweet. It's a table with a tablecloth on and sort of looks like flyers, so it just feels like it's somewhere where if it's your first day, you'd go there and they'd help you settle in, things like that. I don't know, or give you information about the university, maps. I don't know, it just felt right, So that's quite nice. And I do also, do you know what? When I was putting the benches outside on the big sort of step area, I spent ages trying to find these benches that I've now found that I'm putting in the main auditorium space. I think it's because I was looking in the bench section, and these come under, I think the armchair, which is so bizarre to me because they're look like little benches, but I suppose it makes sense. But yeah, so it took me ages I didn't find them originally, but I found them, so I redid it all. But do you think it's so strange how they are in the armchair section? I don't know. And they're also blue in the menu, in the buy menu, so it's you don't see them instantly, because when you have a specific colourway in your mind of something and that's not what it is on the little picture, take a little while to find it. And then up here is the little cafeteria space. So it's very small, I have to admit, but I figured that's okay because most of the time they're probably going to take the food back to their room, or they're going to eat it while they're studying or sat with their friends outside. So it kind of makes sense. I didn't want to make the mezzanine level too big, because then of course it takes away space from being really high, if you get what I mean. You're taking away the kind of moment of the 2-story high room. So I don't want it to be too big. So yeah, it's quite small, but again, I don't think it needs to be that big really. And then this little area outside where I put the bikes, I do chop and change a little bit throughout, me faffing, because I don't know, it took me a while to decide how to do this little space, because I obviously put those hedges going all the way around the building, because I kept wanting to introduce greenery, because it's quite a modern building. I always feel like they can feel quite cold, so I tried to make them less cold by using greenery in woods. So that's why I put a lot of wood on the building and lots of greenery. Just makes it a bit softer, but also makes it quite eco-friendly. That's the other thing that's quite good, which I feel like would definitely be the case for a building in this campus, because obviously it's the more science-based university, and I just feel like they would be all over the eco-friendly builds, Now, I don't know if you can see, you might see, I'm doing the computer room now, but behind it you'll be able to see the toilets. Now, I didn't show me making these toilets, and the main reason is because they look nothing like that now, and it's really, really strange. I think I've never liked using the cubicles on The Sims 4, the set items that are cubicles, because I always think they're very big and clunky and just look a little bit strange because they're so big. And so what I do is I make individual cubicles myself by making a little 2x1 room, and I've never ever had a problem with that. And I don't know if it's because obviously this ground floor is up on a very high platform because of those steps that lead up to it. And I don't know if it's because of that, but when I was playtesting my sim going into these toilets, they would only go in, there was only one that they would use, and they'd go into every single cubicle, but then they'd be stood right next to the toilet and then just not use the toilet. And I still don't really know why, but I'm just assuming it's maybe something to do with platforms, because, what else could it be? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I honestly don't know what it is. I emptied the little cubicles and just left it with just the toilet. I mean, there's nothing much in there anyway. It's just a light, a toilet, and the toilet roll holder, but just did not like it. So I actually ended up using the cubicles, and I sized them down, which made them feel a bit more reasonable, and the Sims can still use them. So that's kind of what I did. So there's screenshots at the end of it, but yeah, I didn't show that because I just felt like it doesn't look like that, so there's no point. Now, I'm starting the first flat. So this is the ground floor flat, and all of the flats are exactly the same layout, like exactly the same kitchen, exactly the same furniture. Like they're literally copy and pasted. And then the rooms are all the same, apart from different colour bedding and different personalisation. So different posters on the wall, different clutter. So I just show basically just this one flat and one of the rooms, because I just felt like it'd be very repetitive, because like I say, they are literally all the same. But you'll be able to see, this is what they look like, and then they're just literally the same all the way up. So so you'll see what I was saying earlier, like I put a massive kitchen in these flats, and from here, to be fair, like you don't think, oh, that's weird, where's the oven? Because there's so much other things. I put like 2 sinks, because I felt like that'd be really useful. Even though there's only 3 Sims living there. I'm kind of building this, imagining that these flats have more like 6 people living in them rather than 3, but just obviously limited to that many. And I also put the waffle maker, which I thought was quite fun, because I feel like that is definitely something that they would have in student accommodation. But yeah, super big kitchen, and then a really big lounge seating area in that nice big corner window, which I think is really cool. And just a really nice space, like you could invite loads of your friends round and stuff, and just, just be a very luxurious university lifestyle, which I myself never led. But, for these Sims, that's what they're doing. And they're basically living a very comfortable first year, and then second year, when they are sent out to live and find their own house, it will be very different. But for now, they've got everything really easy accessible to them, and it just makes it easy, doesn't it, that transition of moving out from home and living on your own for the first time. Now every bedroom has its own bathroom, and it's got a double bed. So these are, like I tell you, these are luxurious rooms to have. Obviously, I didn't go for actual bath. They just have showers, because I thought that was a step too far, even though there is definitely the space to have a bath in these bathrooms. But yeah, so just a little shower. And then my kind of plan for the main room itself was to feel really built in. I don't know, I just felt like it would make it feel like there was lots of storage, which would be needed for your Sims, well, for students in general, in real life too. So I wanted to build this kind of built-in bed looking thing, which took me a little while to decide how I wanted to do it without it looking too clunky. But I don't know, it meant as well there's lots of shelf space for your Sims to put all their different clutter or whatever they're bringing from home with them. The pieces that go along the side of the bed are just kitchen cabinets, so that isn't like a shelf that you can click an item to. You'd have to place an item and then raise it up with a 9 key or whatever to put something on there. But to be honest, it worked out, because I totally forgot until I started playtesting that the first thing all the Sims do when they move into their new university accommodation is they just bring out really random clutter items, don't they? And they just plonk them somewhere. So there was this Sim, and they were just putting all these things, like a plant pot and a lamp, just in really random shelf space, if that makes sense. So where it all clicked to, that, they just were there. And it was just really funny, because I totally forgot that that's what they do. So it worked out well, because there is lots of space for your Sims to do that. And it just makes it look like they've got loads of storage for their clothes, and they've got a nice built-in desk moment. Just super comfortable, and they can just bring so much stuff with them from home, But yeah, like I said, all the rooms are the same. just slightly different personalization. So I've used the bed from the Eco Lifestyle, which is quite good because it doesn't really have much of a bed frame, so you can hide it. So it, like I said, it looks like it's built into this kind of built-in bed type thing. And they've got a good variety of like duvet covers as well, so that every bed can be the same, and then they all just have different covers, because I feel like that's quite realistic, because that's definitely, you would kind of bring your own bedding. That's one thing you would bring, although there might be actually, no, you bring your own duvet, don't you, as well? Actual duvet, actual pillows, and then your sheets. But the mattress, this is what I always had anyway. You'd basically just get a bed frame and a mattress, and then you could basically put whatever you wanted on that and just make it your own, because I always find university rooms, like, they're always so cold when you first go in, because of course they're just bare and they can look so different depending on who's in them. Like, you can style them so differently. So yes, that was just the one bedroom, and like I said, all the rest of the bedrooms are exactly the same. They just have different personalisation. So yeah, so super nice flats for your Sims to live in, and very comfortable, And what I'm working on now is the little laundrette, which you can see at the moment is huge, but I quickly changed that because who needs that many washing machines and dryers? But yeah, I just thought, again, realistic to have it as a separate room. You have to go and pay to use your washing machine. Although, would you have to pay in this building? I don't know. I feel like perhaps it's included. Maybe they're all free, Or maybe you just need like a special token for if you live there, you can just use it, because I do feel like that should be included in the price of living here. Do you know what I mean? It's really taken me back, building this and thinking about all the places I lived when I was at university, because my degree was 4 years, so I lived in many different places with many different people. I think because my first halls was shared between 20 of us, and to be fair, like within that, I never thought that I would get a big group from that, if that makes sense. But there was 10 of us that were very close, and I think we all decided that we wanted to still live with each other in second year, which, to be honest, was probably a mistake, because that was too many of us to live in one house. Can you imagine? That's a big house. So it would have been nicer, I think, if we split into two and had more a normal house, if that makes sense, because it was just such a big house, and it was really nice, don't get me wrong, because it was this big old, I don't know if it's Edwardian or Victorian, I can't remember now, but it was really, really tall ceilings, like super tall ceilings, and my room was in kind of like the loft almost. There was some rooms in the loft, and yeah, that was quite cool. But yeah, looking back, it was hectic living with that many people again in second year. Not like, after having 20 people in first year, but that's just, it was much calmer after that. And in my last year, I just lived with 2 other people. So to be fair, this is how I lived. There was just 3 of us, and that was really, really nice. A really cute little flat. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But never ever lived somewhere like this. I saw places like this, and I visited one once, which it still wasn't as extravagant as this, but the flats, I would say, like, they had a double bed and they had their en suites, and it was all super modern because it was made, like only a couple of years before. But to have all the like gym and study space, common space, like all of this space, that would be pretty crazy. Could have gone even further. We could have put like a swimming pool, but no, that would just be too much. Do you know what I mean? So I think hopefully it works. I'd say obviously you can play it as either a dorms or a commons lot type, but I would say it is much more for residential, because I think if I was just making a commons building, there would be much more in it, and yeah, so there would be much more skill building and much more focus on that, and maybe more just recreational type things as well. I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like the idea of having a pool, obviously that would be crazy, but it's not as crazy if it was in like a commons type building. Do you know what I mean? You could really go to town, you could put a lot of different activities, but this was more, I wanted it to feel like this is somewhere where people lived, But like I said, could be either. I think I felt a little bit bad for using this lot, basically, because I've taken the commons away, but there we are. Anyway, I will leave you with some screenshots and see you in the next one. Bye!